neighborhood for 4 times your income is what's popping now. We have to help people understand the benefits of home ownership and break it down to digestible pieces to where they understand. You don't have to buy the biggest house the first time you're out the gate. Show them what the progression is. I bought a little raggedy house in Hickory Hill, and now I got a 4,000 square foot house with $200,000 worth of equity. So we need to really glamorize it, make it beautiful, and help people understand the numbers of real estate and how that works. I had a client, she lived in her house for 2 years, bought the ugly house. She's 30 years old. That girl got a $200,000 check. Where do you get this type of money anywhere else? She would have never come across that type of income had she not owned a home. So we need to make sure that we help people understand what building wealth through home ownership looks like.
I'm going to put the onus on the professionals in the room. You know, we went through a period of time where interest rates went down to 2.5, 2.7%, and black families did not refinance. They did not take advantage of that. They left $500 million on the table during that time versus white families. And so I put it on you professionals to educate people in your community about the equity journey. Educate them about the opportunity and what we're leaving on the table. And so it's information. It's positive information. It's affirmative marketing, positive information, always flowing from your lips. Keep in contact with your customers, keep in contact with your clients, make sure they're aware of opportunities in the market.
Yeah, so that's good.
Hey, I know that was, I know that question was directed towards the business professionals here, but I do want to speak on behalf of local government. You know, you guys are our consumers, every single one of you, even if you're not in the market for real estate. But just speaking on behalf of the assessor's office, the registrar's office, and the trustee's office, if I can make a plug for all three, come to our office. Make sure you're aware of the square footage of the house, the schematics. Make sure you have a general idea of the value, and you know if that's a good price or not. We're doing appraisals all the time, whether or not those are posted to our website or not. We tried to move to a 2-year reappraisal cycle, but we're still at 4-year. But we might have some more current data than we're legally allowed to share on the website and put to the actual value. If you guys just want to come to our office and say something like 9270 Poplar, what do you have on it? We'd be happy to give you some information. You for sure want to check with the registrar's office and make sure that the person who's selling the property, I want to give a plug to Register Shalandra Ford and her special assistant Deidre Fisher right there. If you want to make sure that the person or entity selling the property is the real person. There's a lot of DE fraud going on around here. There are a lot of people who purport to be the owners of property who will trick you into believing they own that property and who will take your money and run, and by the time you figure out, you and the real owner figure out that wasn't a real transaction, they're get it, and gone. And you're out the money, and the owner is in court trying to get you up out their actual house. So it can be wild. And then, of course, the trustee's office, you want to make sure you go back to them and make sure that all of the taxes are current and paid up, because some folks will sell you a house and it owes $15,000, $20,000. The next thing you know, it's up for tax sale. There's a shout out to Brittany Johnson from the Land Bank over there. And you got to deal with that, and you didn't know. And not everybody does their due diligence there, so you can do that as well. So thank you.
All right. All right, just real quick, and I don't want to end on a sour note. This is positive, but we talking about advocacy. Advocacy comes at a cost. And as a people, as black people, we have PTSD from the judicial system. When we talked about appraisal bias, this is something that wasn't new. When we saw it on Instagram, Facebook, or whatnot that said there was a difference, there was some bias, it wasn't like that was the first time. Everybody in this room had experienced appraisal bias, but what did we do about it? So I'm going to challenge you. The thing that we need to do when we're doing advocacy is to see it all the way through. And one of those methods is the judicial system. We need to hold people accountable, file a lawsuit, be the plaintiff, and go into court and lay out your case, because that's how things get changed in this country. When there's companies out there that'll see a lawsuit come across and they'll be like, settle. Why? Because they don't need the bad press. They don't want the truth to get exposed. And what we do is we like to make people comfortable. So sometimes we hold back the truth just to make you comfortable. So we'll get in a room and we won't say black, we'll say African American to make you feel comfortable. And so the same thing with advocacy, we have to take this to another level that's going to put a lot of us out on the forefront. But that's what our community desires. So when we talk about our children, we talk about the next generation, we talk about millennials, we have to go out there and be the leaders regardless of how that looks. So I implore you to be the fighters on the front line like we had in the 60s, fighting for us. The reason why we're all in business today is because some people sacrificed their life, their business, and their family to be able to open the doors for us.
Big hand for this panel, everyone.
Okay, you guys can depart. Thank you. We will move into the next one. So, we're gonna ask y'all one more time. Y'all got 20 minutes. And I know this next panel has some talkers. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you all to take your place. Those on the next panel, which is the solutions through receivership. I'm gonna ask you all to be seated. Commissioner Jones, Executive Director Courtney Jones. Is Brittany here from Land Back? Perfect. So while they set the stage, you know how you try to do something nice for folk and then they won't let you? So today is my mother's birthday, right? And so I wanted to acknowledge her. At the end of this, we have a champagne toast with cake, and I thought I was gonna be able to surprise her and give her flowers while she is here, but I saw her do the Baptist finger, try to leave a little early. And so I would ask my mother to come forward and receive her flowers on her special day. You know, come on, get these flowers. And I just want to briefly state that I come from parents who were entrepreneurs. I come from parents who were principle first. And so the value of what we have, and most of us who are entrepreneurs and self-employed, we got it from somewhere, right? The tenacity, the audacity, and the courage to do that. And I want to commend my mother because she was the first business owner I saw who didn't have a template, and I watched her figure it out, and then I figured it out. So happy birthday to my mother. I love you. And you can go and leave now. Take your little old flowers and go. But thank you all for that personal privilege. I bring forward President-elect Darrell Lewis.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rashida's mom. Happy birthday to you. All right. Give them their flowers while they are yet here, y'all, because some of us have lost our mothers, and I miss mine daily. She would call me a project, because I'm always working on something, and I'm always getting on her nerves. But let's move forward. Darrell Lewis, President-elect of National Association of Real Estate Brokers, Memphis chapter, and we do have a distinguished panel before us this afternoon. Two of these gentlemen you all already know. County Commissioner Eddie Jones, who is now running for probate court clerk. And to our far end, big brother, big daddy, big show, Brother Courtney Jones, the man of the hour, height with all the power. And then Miss Brittany Johnson, newcomer, new face to our group. And Ms. Johnson, if you would just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at the Land Bank.
It looks like we got all the Joneses here. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Hello? There's one mic that doesn't work. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yes. My name is Brittany Jones. I am actually the manager of Shelby County Land Bank. I've been with the Land Bank since August of 2020. So I came to the Land Bank right in the middle of the pandemic. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity. As I sit in this room, and I'm thankful for being here amongst you all esteemed professionals, I see some very familiar faces. They want to swap you. All right. As well, I see new faces, and I look forward to getting to know you all and what your organizations offer. If I could put you on the spot for a moment, Mr. Jeremy Less, he helped me actually purchase my first home as a black single mother in 2019. So I definitely appreciate what you contribute and what you do at Bancorp South. But as far as Shelby County Land Bank, I manage and oversee the sales procedure as well as the donation program that provides and conveys properties to nonprofits as well as CDC organizations. And I look forward to meeting you all and just seeing how we can partner and offer more to this community.
All right. I can tell I'm not gonna like this little clock already. So let's get right into it. Mr. Jones, please explain to us code enforcement and its purpose.
Code enforcement. Absolutely. So most of you all don't know, you see me as a county commissioner, but I also am a supervisor in code enforcement for the city of Memphis. So I deal with blight, code enforcement issues every single day. So code enforcement is there to protect the public's well-being, welfare, safety, and to address code violation in occupied as well as unoccupied structures, houses, that's residential and commercial. And so we go out daily to enforce that. Now, earlier when I saw that map of where all that red was, guess what? That's where all your blight is. So when I was looking at that map, I was like, wow. And all of that helped to create that. And so that's what we do in code enforcement. And you know, that process starts, and the inspector goes out, he sees it, he moves forward, give the people a notice, give them a time frame to correct it, and then if it's not corrected, then it ends up in court, and then it sits there for a while. And so, but we have nothing else to do with it. And so one of the things that has been happening with blight in our community and how it takes the value down of a community is this. It's sitting there, but I can't touch it. So now we got to put everything else on pause because the courts, because you only have one environmental court. So it's too full. Can't accept any more cases. And so the community continues to devalue itself because the blight cannot be properly adjudicated in a timely process, which falls back on to you guys when you're looking at these comps and you might try to sell something over in this area and you'll be like, I don't know how we're gonna do this one. Because the values are just not getting us there. But I'm sure there's gonna be more that we talk about in this conversation that may be a solution to help us get there. So I'm gonna stop right there because I don't wanna walk over Courtney right now.
Walk over, baby.
And again, this portion of our program deals with partnership through receivership. We're looking for solutions and strategies to increase home ownership for families through this particular mechanism. This panel is going to introduce receivership as an opportunity to increase neighborhood value, increase community stakeholder engagement, and offer rehabilitated properties for sale, which you've already heard from Ms. Brittany Jones about the land bank and Mr. Eddie Jones as it relates to code enforcement. So Ms. Jones, back to you. Please talk a little about some of the goals of the land bank and its full purpose.
Okay. The goal and mission of Shelby County Land Bank is to immediately put properties that are delinquent taxes or that we've acquired from delinquent taxes back on tax roll. With that, what we do is obtain the properties from tax sale, immediately publish the availabilities on our website, and I think the biggest goal is just to educate the community and let them know that the resource is available. With that, it's word of mouth, partnering with professionals of your stature, and just making sure that we're educating everyone and familiarizing them on the sales process so that they know that this resource is available in their community. We receive a lot of calls regarding blight, crime in vacant and abandoned homes, but a lot of people don't know that the properties are actually available to them. I've had many customers inform me that they assumed that the land bank's purpose was to sell to investors or out-of-town buyers. Some don't know that it's actually available to individuals, nonprofits, or CDCs. So the biggest goal is to make sure that they know it's available, they know how to obtain the properties, they know how to obtain the monthly listings, and that they are in communication with members of the staff so that when the properties are listed, they're actually able to go through the sales process.
So once the land bank acquires the property, how long do you have to hold it before you can dispose of it?
Well, there are different redemption periods, and those redemption terms are set by the Chancery Court when those properties are taken in through tax sale. So we basically just adhere to whatever the redemption period was set for from Chancery Court. It could be a period of 60 days up to a year. The maximum would be a year's redemption period, where the previous owner can actually come forward and redeem their property by satisfying their tax debt. Now, after the redemption period has lapsed, we do actually evaluate the property, determine a new price point. We factor in the most recent valuation determined by the assessor's office, as well as what the tax debt amount is, and we determine a new price point and list that property for sale to the public.
So how can the public get involved and partner with the land bank to make that happen for them?
Okay. My biggest suggestion would be come to the office, call the office, partner with our staff. I'm actually here in place of our administrator, who is new as of last year. Partner with her, partner with me. I have business cards today. I also have some takeaways regarding our programs. Familiarize yourselves with the donation program as well as the sales procedure. Inform your family members, inform your clients. Let them know that there are alternatives from the conventional real estate market. You have other options available in your community to take back these properties and reduce the blight, get the properties back on tax roll, and contribute whatever dollar amount that we acquire from those sales back to the tax debt. Get these properties back into ownership and reduce the blight, eliminate crime. A lot of the properties, that we take in have prostitution, you have different forms of crime that are occurring in these properties because no one's maintaining them. A lot of the owners that lost these properties are out-of-town owners. They're not seeing to the properties, they're not making sure that they're up to par, that crime is not occurring in these properties. So we're the ones getting the calls. The previous owners, they don't know what's going on, and clearly they don't have any interest in it. So that's the biggest way that you all can get involved, is make sure that your clients, your family members, as well as yourselves know that these properties are available.
So, Mr. Commissioner Jones, it sounds like that you and Ms. Jones, all these Joneses.
A lot of Joneses, baby.
So it sounds like a lot of what Ms. Brittany Jones does is similar to what you do in code enforcement. How does what you're doing impact, or the blight, how does that impact the housing value and the volume of the properties that are on the market?
For in the land bank?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what happens, and just a little slight correction with Brittany. So the number of years that a property has delinquent taxes will determine the redemption period. So 8 years, it's going to be something like, I want to say 8 years or more. It's like 30 days. But you ain't did nothing in 8 years. We figure you ain't going to do nothing in 30. and so that goes up to about 5 years. You're going to get up into between 5 and 8. You're going to be about 60. Then from 5 to about 3, you're gonna be about 90 days, and then 1 and 2 third year, now you're gonna, that's how the format is set up. So now, in code enforcement, and we see a lot of this, where properties are being taken in a tax sale. Generally, when we see that on the trustee site, we don't touch it. We let the land bank, the trustee, take it in a tax sale, and then when the redemption period is up, it lands in the land bank. Currently, right now, we probably have about 2,600 properties that we have files on, and it's moving in that direction. So when we actually have a file on a house, it has a process that eventually will end up in court in the Neighborhood Preservation Act under that, and a lawsuit is filed. And so, and that's pretty much the last phase of it. And what generally happens is we send a bunch every month to Neighborhood Preservation. If we send 30, they send 25 back, and they cherry pick the ones that they want and send the rest back to us to say either demolish them or do something else with them. And I think part of the solution, and we're gonna get into it a little later in this conversation when we start talking about receivership. And so I'm gonna just cut it off right there so that all of this you can follow it better.
Now, receivership, I've heard you throw that word out a couple of times in a couple of different forms, and I understand that Mr. Courtney Jones, that's kind of your atmosphere. That's your realm of expertise. So let's talk about receivership. What is receivership?
Let's talk about it, baby. I know I'm in the right place with some folks that want to make some money. Did I find the right place? I believe so. Some of us want to do some social impact good. Some of us want walkable neighborhood, great public school, no food desert. Yeah, I think I'm in the right place. So really, if we could get granular for a second, those of us that have children, babysitter. On its basic terms, whether it's a bank foreclosure, FDIC, whether it's now coming through the pandemic, hospitality, where a lot of the Hilton, Marriott flags have been in some trouble, appointing a receiver to step in and manage, some of your boutique hotels, some of your mid-rise to high-rise luxury apartments. Everyone's industry segments are seeing receivers become more widely used. So now if I'm a parent, I need help with my kid because I work full-time, I would look for and source out someone, Darryl, who would be awesome and do what I would do while I'm gone. Well, that's the nature of a receiver. Your job, and many of us property managers and real estate brokers, I can go on and on, of the expertise that you already check the box. This is a niche of the real estate industry that most black practitioners have been excluded from. You hear buzzwords like capacity, experience, capital, which is garbage, because many receivers in most cases partner with either banks or the institutions that fund the receivership, right? Or you have private receivers where you have folks like myself also who capital raise and investors can put money in and say, hey, you know what? That's a viable, feasible piece of property that could make a profit. So let's fix that porch. Let's fix the tuck pointing. Let's cut the grass, right? These are some of the code enforcement pieces that could have a property end up in having a receiver appointed. So really, you're the fiduciary person who has no interest with the seller, owner, any potential buyer. Your job, as Commissioner eloquently stated, is just to maintain the code enforcement issues. Across the country, you hear buzzwords like environmental court. You hear words like code enforcement. You hear words like hazardous and dangerous. Because that property, if a brick fell down, could kill someone. Does that make sense? Right? So now if you're a civil servant, if there's crime in a high crime area, you want the police, the fire department, 911 first responders to know that the infrastructure of that home is weak. Because now if I run in to chase someone, the house can collapse on top of us. So it's those types of issues that have to be addressed. But now, if I could tie this into being a realtist, okay? We are the ones typically, like the map showed and what Mark addressed for us powerfully, our neighborhoods take the beating of this. Because a lot of the real estate in our neighborhoods are commoditized. I'm gonna say it again. A lot of the real estate owned in our black neighborhoods are commoditized. So if you hit what we just witnessed as a pandemic, most investors care more about their primary home, right? And worry secondarily about the investment property. So that if I live in a predominantly investor-owned community, if I'm a homeowner in that community, my wealth building gets decimated because these other properties are not kept up, they're abandoned, and they even write down the taxes on the dilapidated property while we get crushed. So really quickly, as I hand this back to you, this space I'm very passionate about because for us Realtist members, it's one of the lowest cost entry points to acquiring a property. The dollars we spend go directly to addressing a physical problem, which means for you developers and contractors and property managers, you would have to fix that anyway. Does that make sense? So that's why this is a real passionate piece. It's critical from an advocacy standpoint that Realtist Nation gets involved because it would also help our black home ownership because it puts more properties back on the tax roll.
And to Courtney's point, I did take the liberty to pull the application for receivership this morning, along with the list of available properties. And 2/3 of them, well, no, all of them are in that red zone area that you mentioned. And we'll get to that as well. So talk to us about how we can get involved with receivership.
Great question, great question. So one of the biggest things that, we practice, and I'm gonna bring a practice from Chicago to Memphis. And I wanna also kudo the chairperson, Rashida Jones, because she had, the foresight to step up and start traveling and attending some of the receivership and commercial mortgage-backed security conferences, CMBS conferences, which is where a lot of these receivership opportunities get birthed out of, and many of us are not in the room. So the training is the first piece, pulling that report and really putting a scope together of work, going to visit the properties. Many of the Realtist members know their neighborhoods, they know their communities. We pass these blighted properties every day in many cases. But it's not until we see someone working on it that we say, man, I didn't know that place was for sale. I know I'm not the only one. So becoming really aggressive around the dirt, the bricks, going up the properties that I see the grass is almost above your ankle, you want to write that address down and start acquiring around, is this property in receivership and how could I go about being appointed? Next, you want to also get your partners together. So I would look at, for us Realtists in the room, who's the contractors? Who are the tradesmen and women that can help you put together that contractor's narrative? Who are your CDFI, community development financial institution lenders? right? Who could be the money sources? Crowdfunding. Each of us putting in 10,000 together. Whatever it looks like, what does that money source prepare us to do? That allows us to have that capacity to move forward. And then last but not least, really coming up with who is going to be my legal representation. Are there realtors, real estate attorneys that I work with to be my voice in the courtroom, so when I go to present my receivership packet, it's as tight as everyone else's. So you have the Neighborhood Preservation Act piece, familiarize yourself with it, and I'm gonna use these words and behave myself. Know your competition. And your competition is not in this room. So know what others are doing, what they're submitting, so that you can copy. This is the one place where copying is good.
The one place where copying is good, the one place where collaboration is good. And you can probably get a lot more money outside of the city to bring in to do what you need to do in your city. And as long as they don't see you at the table, you can probably get more money. Quick question, and we're gonna close this thing out even though my time is up. Had one question, how are black developers integrating 3D printing into their bills and the community? Have you seen any of that?
I have. So, really quickly, because I know the brother, the time is over. But actually, when this is over, if somebody got a question about it, I can follow up with them.
Got it. Thank you very much. And give our panelists a hand,
Didn't nobody else have no hard time like that?
please. Almost made it.
See how they tried to misbehave? It's funny that question came up because we actually have Antoine Maxwell in the room, who is the only black licensee for the new technology around 3D printing for housing. So certainly he's available for questions related to that. And okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I wanted to give an opportunity for Vice President Harris. It's his birthday as well. Can y'all clap it up for him real quick? So we'll move forward. I'm actually gonna move this panel right on. And we have our solutions through partnership. Those panelists include Ms. Tamala Thurman coming back to the forum, President Wonda McGowan, HUD Field Director T. Michelle McCarroll, and Fraser CDC Executive Director Damon Williams. So this should be fairly to the point, and after this panel, if there are a couple minutes, there were a couple questions that we want to give our esteemed guests to answer, and we will move into this champagne toast and a little cake, and we're gonna call it a day. And I appreciate all the attention for the long haul. I know how difficult that can be, especially for us real estate professionals. So NAREB seeks to identify collaborative capacity building strategies to increase the opportunity of home ownership for more families. This panel will discuss solutions that will directly impact increased home ownership opportunities for black families. Our moderator for this is, will bring Mr. Courtney Q. Jones back to the stage.
That's why I put these sneakers on the table. Look, we're gonna move this back a little bit off my stomach. There we go. The big fella get comfortable. Good afternoon again, fine folks. Do we feel like we getting something in here today? Let's clap it up for NAREB Memphis. So really quickly, first I want to start off with Tamala. Can you shed a little bit of light on, many homeowners miss the value of refinance when rates are low. Can you share the impact of this?
Absolutely. So I referred to this a little earlier. Something that's really important to understand is that 30% of black homeowners still have interest rates higher than 6%. What does this mean? Yeah, 30%. We did some analysis on our book and National Mortgage Database information. And what this means is that they're leaving money on the table. When we talk about wealth building, when we talk about being able to access the equity in your home, it's very important to have a low interest rate. You know, you're talking about some of your neighborhoods that were in that red zone. Rehabilitation of these properties would raise the value. Rehabilitation of these properties, but they need to refinance. They need to access that equity in their homes. And a lot of black homeowners took a beating getting into the home, right? So now they don't want to go back to the bank and go through that process. But as industry professionals, we have to let them know that the opportunity is not just getting a new debt. The opportunity is really increasing your wealth and increasing the value of your property, even taking money out to buy additional property. Memphis is still a very affordable city, and people can increase their wealth through more homeownership and investment. So it's really important to get that message out there. I try to advocate it all the time, but we really are not doing a very good job of that. So in that vein, I'm going to invite you to an event, a virtual event that Freddie Mac is doing in partnership with Convergence Memphis and the Memphis Area Association of Realtors to get you some materials that you can distribute to your clients, that you can use in education, that you could distribute to your clientele, both past and future, that will help them understand all of the tools and resources available in understanding how to finance and maximize the financial efficacy of your home. And so this virtual event will take place on June 27th, and both Wanda and Phyllis will have information on it. Thank you.
Awesome. And what I love in some of what you just shared is simply, I just think of some of the conversations that I have with our peers. When you really reflect on interest rates being the lowest that they've been, you know, historically in a really long time, how many of our black homeowners could have cut significant time off of their mortgages by refinancing and locking in lower rates, right? So that would have set a lot of our folks up to have more disposable income for things like investing in real estate or saving or preparing for the next transition of retirement even. Great point. Director McCarroll, what are some ways that local organizations that promote housing justice can get engaged and activate HUD programming on the ground level?
Can you hear me? Okay. So I think everyone in this room has probably said it best that spoke. You need to partner with your local communities, organizations, your local government organizations, the federal organization. I think that's the first thing. Once you partner with them, find out what resources that everyone has to offer. And then once you find out those resources, you have to educate. It's important to let everyone know in the community, whether it's about resources for eviction prevention or whether it's about interest rates, whatever it is, you have to let everyone know what there is, you know, what's out there for them and how they can obtain those resources and those benefits. And a lot of times what we've noticed from customers that call us on a daily basis is that they don't know. Well, I called this organization and they didn't have anything, so we're calling HUD. But I think it's just important that we work together to get this information out to them so they know, you know, where they need to go for a lot of these different resources. So, and I'm new again in this role, but I'm ready to work. I'm here temporarily for now. We don't know what God has in store, but for these next 4 months, I'm ready to work. So give me your information and let's get that information out there to the customers.
Awesome, thank you. Now, I know we heard ready to work. Give me your information. 4 months, we got a deadline. So if you know, like I know, the sale coming soon, it's best to take advantage before it's all gone now. Thank you. Next, Damon, you know, how can NAREB be more engaged in all that Fraser CDC is doing? it up, it should.
Okay.
Right.
What can we do? First of all, support our programs. Attend, promote them in your network. That would be helpful. Also help us advocate. We are currently advocating with the support of Building Memphis, several initiatives to support affordable housing. Affordable housing, as you know, is disappearing, but I really want people to concentrate on that particular price point, 0 to 265, and look at who's buying those and where those are going. So what that really means is they're buying up the middle class to turn them into permanent renters. Yes. And that is an issue. Yes. Now, I was on the news talking about that 8 months ago and people was mad at me. But now people are having a conversation about those moratoriums that we could put in place. You can help us advocate for reactivation of HOAs. HOAs can right now put it in their bylaws that, restrict how many renters or just restricted period. So that is one way we could look at it now. We also have to think about not just the home buyers. We have to think about community planning. What is going to happen to the poorest of the poor people when these neighborhoods change? Because they're coming. They're coming. And so what are we going to do with the poorest of the poor? We need to start now training on how to manage and build low-income housing tax credits, how to use those. We need to increase our capacity right now. Because if we let those folks be dispersed all over the city, that's what happened in Chicago, and they've not been able to get it together since then. What do you think is going to happen in Memphis? We have to take care of our own, and we have to think about it now because nobody else will. And so I appreciate your support going forward. Also, think about Fraser. Fraser has a lot of land. It's a big area. We have houses from shotgun houses to 3,000 and 4,000 square feet. And some of those houses, again, those owners need support around what to do with their houses. Talk to our clients about, okay, your children may not want your house, but I do. Let that house be a blessing to somebody and not a burden. So let's tell that message too, because that's really a problem. And I know that all of you have faced that, where you have a family who's inherited a property, people won't, they can't even get together on an appraisal. Let them not even worry about that, because they don't want it anyway. Let it be a blessing to somebody else, and let us use that and turn it over to a new family. So those are the beginning of some ways.
No, thank you for that. And some of what just stuck out was first off, Life Flex with you on the news, making that observation. Appreciate you. But what I really see across the country as we all travel in the network of Realtist Nation, we're seeing that the middle class is being pushed out, right? The middle class is being bullied out. So it's critical that if we don't put up some form of a protest, barbarian at a gate approach, we're gonna be really struggling and pushed out of major metropolitan cities. So I think it's really, important what you're sharing in terms of the promotion of partnerships. And folks realizing that this isn't one person's group, it's not one brokerage's issue, it's not one mortgage partner's issue. This is a community at large issue, and we all need to lock arms to address it. President McGowan, how does NAREB Memphis collaborate locally with partners to promote Black homeownership?
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones, for that question. As mentioned earlier, we partner with organizations like Fraser CDC. We also partner with Convergence Memphis, THDA, City of Memphis, Shelby County, the Works Program, various banks that we partner with. We also, within our organization, our Young Realtist Division that are going out into the schools, educating young students on the value of learning how to open bank accounts, money, teaching them different things like that that's going to give them a head start as they move forward into adulthood. They were at Women's Council. They handle a lot of the financial piece as it relates to financial literacy, to get people prepared for homes. Our Women Council, they're updating with the Freddie Smart program. They teach that when they do their weekly different things they do weekly. And so just continuing to find ways to partner with other organizations. I always say we all have a piece of the puzzle, but we can never put the full picture together if we don't bring the puzzle together and actually affix it so that we can have this perfect picture of homeownership.
Awesome, awesome President Day. Really quickly, if you all can just take 1 good minute, I want you to share with the group from where you sit, the lens that you see this black home ownership opportunity from. What do you think needs to be done and how to do it? We'll start with you, Tamala, and work our way towards me.
Thank you. So I mentioned earlier that there were some equitable housing plans that were released yesterday. And it was at the direction of Sandra Thompson at FHFA. We also have Marsha Fudge over at HUD. We need to understand this is a critical time in home ownership for black families. We have 2 very powerful people who are advocating for more tools, resources, down payment assistance. And there are going to be some political headwinds, but right now is a very critical time where we can really move things forward. So as we deploy tactics, as we partner with different organizations, we need to be very aggressive and intentional right now, because when the political winds change, and at some point they will, we may not have as much support on the Hill and locally in our communities to get things done. So now is the time, is what I would say.
Awesome, great point.
I was getting ready to piggyback off of what you're saying. I'm looking at this clock right here. Time is not on our side.
No, but we're ahead of it. We're ahead of it.
So in reality, as well as it relates to our current epidemic and home crisis, time is not on our side. So we really need to be busy establishing these relationships, taking the time to learn about these programs. I've learned so much today, just even with the people that I'm sitting on the panel with, on how we can take and move this needle more to the right than the left. You know, let's kind of move this needle so that we can make a change. I always say this, I bring it to the personal level. I just want to know that when I'm 6 feet under, I want it to be known that I made a difference in Memphis. I made a difference in the community where I live and work and play. I hope that I've changed other people's lives by making them homeowners than just constantly renting. I want to tell people my story, what I did so that I made it. And I don't want to keep it a secret. I think we need to share with everybody else. And so we're going to continue this. You know, we may be out of time, but we're going to exchange this information. We're going to continue this conversation. We're going to continue to talk, and we're going to be a part of moving that needle and making black home ownership available for all.
Just to piggyback on the president, again, just from my eyes, we get so many calls from customers, and a lot of times it's that they just don't know. So we're in the business of providing outreach and providing those resources and providing that information and those phone numbers and, you know, those points of contact to these individuals so they can get the assistance that they need, so they can learn about home ownership. We also, as I spoke earlier about the housing counseling agencies that we have, they were put in place to do a lot of that. So I think we have to utilize the resources that we have, and if you don't know about it, reach out to these organizations and find out, hey, what do you have new? I know what I saw when I came over to the HUD side. We didn't reach out to a lot of organizations. They were using the same old information that they had for years. Well, the information may have changed. You know, maybe they ran out of funding. What else is out there? So to me, you know, also we have to do our due diligence to reach out to these local organizations to find out what's available so we can actually share the appropriate information to these customers so they'll be able to become homeowners.
Awesome, thank you.
Education, education, education. As she mentioned, we're a HUD certified counseling agency, but that test is really hard. And we need if you guys know somebody, we need a HUD certified counselor. People need to be educated. Get your clients in our or another HUD certified agency to get educated. It will save you time. They won't be calling you, asking you those petty questions. They will know the timeline of the house and save everybody a lot of time and money. The other thing that I think we can all do, again, situation's critical. We did not meet we didn't prevent it. So now that we're in it, situation's critical, the house is on fire. Call your legislators. Call your local legislators, county and city, and tell them we need a moratorium until we figure out what's going on, until we can come up with some solutions. They can do a moratorium, that can be done. We need to do it now. Let's see, what else? Oh, something else. Oh, the receivership. Get those buildings now, and plan a charter school or affordable housing, because nobody else is thinking about that, and we need to be thinking about our people. And just to tell you, there's something sneaky going on with the schools and the funding, and we might need to educate our home. So get these schools, get these buildings.
Awesome, awesome. Well, and wrapping up our panel, and we're overachievers, guys. Just look at that clock back there. Yeah, we're overachievers. But really quickly, there's a theme here. And this theme is we have to own the communities that we live in. Yep. But if I could just push us just a tad, and we start engaging Black land ownership, and because we don't want to leave that out, right? As we just heard with charter school and affordable housing, let's be clear, as depicted by our government, affordable housing is rental. So there's a big misconception, I think, on wordplay. Affordable housing is rental, and if on average 65% of blacks rent across the country, who is better to provide that rental housing than the realtors in this room? So we want to increase Black home ownership, but let's not leave out land ownership. Thank you. Thank you, panelists.
Certainly, I love how a plan comes together. So I just want to thank all the participants, presenters, speakers. Certainly would like to acknowledge again the supporting partners that helped us pull this together. Convergence Memphis, Fraser CDC, Women's Council of Memphis, Trustmark Bank. Who I'm missing? I think I got them all. For this event. You're welcome, girl. So I appreciate the attention. So we did have a couple questions. Are there any more questions from the audience before we answer these? Drink a little champagne. We're gonna have a call to action from Madam President. So you got questions?
We got
So-
we got time for
We're gonna try to make it work. So they'll be coming around to hand you all your champagne. Certainly. You want them to come get it? So we'll get the champagne brought around. Yeah, we're gonna get it brought around. Do I have some YRD that can help us get the champagne now? Thank you. Mr. Elliott, can you grab a, I think he's already done that. He's already done that. Yeah. So we'll get YRD to step in as they always do. So if I can get, I think this question would be appropriate for Mr. Courtney Jones, if I may. And I'll bring them. I don't want y'all, I mean, you can pass them to the next one, try to move through the questions we have. Y'all want, do they have to stay up here, AV? They need to stay up here? Or can the mics move? Thank you. All right, so what role do you see that community land trust and or investment trust can play in increasing black wealth?
Big deal. Big deal. Bang, bang, bang. One of the mechanisms, and we didn't get into it today, but in the investment committee of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, where I am the current chairperson, we want to roll out a couple of learnings, right? One is the low income housing tax credit piece to kind of help familiarize people. But with the land trust component, that would also protect and insulate our middle class families from being bullied out through taxes and through some of the local developments that go up around the black community and being impacted by that tax appropriation. So the land trust would actually protect the homes in the trust from those choking out taxes that we see that have taken place in many black metropolises across the country. So it will be an instrumental tool that could assist.
Thank you for that response. The next question is for Vice President Ashley Thomas. What policies or general solutions could be proposed to reduce out-of-town institutional investment in local real estate?
So that's a great question. I think in terms of policy, it's very important to get involved. You guys could have a moratorium on out-of-state investors. First look programs are always important in terms of, this goes into people that are residents or have been residents for a period of time. I think my state is probably to blame for running out of high cost areas. So a lot of people moving from California outside because it's unaffordable and they're moving here. I think Brother Moody said earlier, which I think was a great point. He said when he moved out of his neighborhood, he kind of contributed to the downfall. And I think that, we all have to take a personal look at that. I bought another home in Houston. And then NAREB was like, we got to advocate for Houston because all these out-of-state people buying up in Houston. So I was like, well, when I move my car there, I got to take the California plates off before I go there because they're not happy. And so I'm assuming Tennessee is the same way in terms of all these out-of-state driving up the prices. But I think if you go into a first look program, that's always important. And then work with city and local government in terms of maybe putting a moratorium on like Canada did for the United States. They said no one can move into our country until we get our housing supply in order. And I think you can do that on a local level too.
Thank you for that response. So it seems like probably the last 6 questions are around the idea of out-of-town investors coming in, buying up the housing stock, where land bank can get involved to stop investors from buying or at least give locals the first right of refusal on property. There's other commentary particular to Mayor, and I don't want to necessarily say this because I don't know this to be fact, but it says that Mayor Harris said that we should not allow online auction for out-of-towners, should be limited to locals. So because these all kind of circle around this one thing, I would ask Vice President Thomas, how can NAREB help, NAREB National, and the advocacy that we do, how can we help corral and draft something that would be supported by local realtors and help us really craft something to present as a plan?
I think we need to look at bulk sales. Bulk sales is what really impacts us. When a whole portfolio of properties are being sold to one buyer, that's a problem. We're not dealing with the mom and pops, my listing, your listing. Those are things that just happen. But the bulk sales, the right before the foreclosure hits, then that whole portfolio is sold to one investor who might just sit on the property. I have a property next door to my office that has been sitting there vacant. It's a home. It was bought by a hedge fund many years ago, and it just sat there. But I watched that property sit there with nobody move in there, and it doubled in value the whole time it sat there. And so from a capitalist perspective that we talked about earlier, right, this is capitalism, that makes sense. But from a community situation, it doesn't when you have people that can't find housing. So sometimes those things collide, and that's where realtors can come into play. But to answer your question specifically, NAREB needs to advocate against the bulk sales that are taking properties from families and turning them into forever rental properties. That's a major problem, and that's happening on the hundreds of thousands. Yesterday, there was a huge bulk sale that happened yesterday, and those are opportunities for us. Our clients can't go kick those tires and put in an offer. It was sold to, a couple investors all together. So we do need to do a better job at that, but we are at the table now, and we haven't been in the past.
Thank you. If I think Courtney Jones wants to weigh in on it.
Yes. What you just asked on the national level is huge, but if I could bring it to the local level, for those of us in this room, I think it's just critically important that we understand the black community through systemic racism is owed a check. So I think if we owe the check, it's important to let our political officials know and every person that participates in housing. So that would be our A-paper banks, our community development financial institutions, all those alike, that at the end of the day, what we're asking for is a carve out, right? That's what we're talking about. And if the neighborhood stabilization trust does it, and you have the counties in terms of how the land banks focus in the respective area, why couldn't we demand and ask for the same thing? We're not trying to get in the way of capitalism. What we're trying to do is get our neighborhoods and communities in order from the systemic racism that have raped and robbed those neighborhoods. So from a strategic standpoint, bringing a plan that speaks to putting 100 to 10,000 homes back in housing inventory for home ownership, that's the type of plan that we as the Realtist community on the ground level could be focused on presenting in a partnership with our land bank, our housing authorities, with code enforcement. So it's not a onesie-twosie approach, but we're going in similar to how a hedge fund would, that would say, hey, we want 100 parcels of land, and this is the type of development we're going to do. Why not have a Realtist development?
Thank you for that response. So with that, I would like to say that we have some work to do. I think the right people are in the room. I do want to put the onus on us to not have just had a conversation today, but certainly to move it to action. I would, and I'm putting some pressure on them, but the Black Coalition for Housing will be bringing a receivership training to Memphis in September, October-ish. Is that right, Mr. Jones?
The microphone ain't working.
So certainly in partnership with NAREB, we do intend to bring forward a training so we can talk through building up capacity through our Realtist members to start really talking about how we can get you engaged in this receivership conversation. And when we present this package and these opportunities and we write these asks and these plans and these strategies, that we have folks on the ground who already have the tools to move into action, right? So that's on the table.
Yes, whatever the chairperson says we do. So ultimately, I just want to share with you in the room that when the class rolls to Memphis, you don't want to miss it. Typically, we have about 590 people try to register in the city of Chicago, and we typically only take 80. And the class actually walks you through from soup to nuts how to engage with municipality, how to work with governmental and commissioner level positions. We bring in the lenders who actually can provide the resources to actually allow you to get through rehabilitating the projects, which I think for many of us is the biggest piece, making sure you have access to the cash. But then bringing the key cornerstone stakeholders in the room so they know who you are on a name basis. And we do that through you forming an entity versus you doing it as an individual and having to carry the burden of that debt to income personally or the liability personally. So it's an awesome program, and it will definitely be facilitated here.
So y'all heard that, right? Yes. Okay. Thank you. So I'm glad I was able to confirm that out loud. The next thing, and then I will allow Madam President to bring closing remarks and our toast. But I do want to personally ask, if you are not a member of NAREB, if you are not a Realtist, if you do not carry the badge, that this is your opportunity to do that. Your organization, tell a friend to tell a friend, all industries and allies. So you may not be a real estate professional selling houses, but certainly if you're in this fight for democracy and housing, then we want you. So that opportunity, that membership application is on the ShebaMemphis.com website. It is also on the local website. And I encourage you to make, and I believe we got the treasurer here, should probably take your money today. Right? The doors of the church are open, right? So certainly there is an opportunity for you to join us in this fight today. With that being said, it has been my pleasure to serve as the Sheba Memphis Chair for 2022. Certainly, I hope that administrations forward will continue to bring this conversation on an annual basis so that we could look at where we are today and see if those solutions have been enacted to bring change and to create more homeowners. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, Madam President, and I bring you forward for the toast.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair Rashida Jones. You have done an awesome and amazing job of bringing this vision forward. Thank you. Let's give her another round of applause. We could not have done this without our guests traveling near and far. We had Mark Austin, all the way from California. We had Ashley Thomas from California. Courtney Jones, Chicago, Illinois. We had someone from DC. I'm trying to go by memory with Tamala, Florida. I don't know why DC is on my mind. But if I missed anybody that traveled forward, please stand. Because I don't want nobody to say nothing to me when I come down from here. I want to do this toast. So if you travel near and far and you're not from Memphis, stand up because I want to recognize you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank everyone in this room, my fellow Memphians, my Realtist family, our partners. We could not have done this without you. This is an all-day event. You know, we all say we got to get in the streets and make our money. We got to go show these houses. You know, we got to run to the office. Very few people left today. We took this time out of our schedule, 10 to 3, all day, to be here to discuss the epidemic of this housing in Black America and hone in on our Memphis community where we live, work, and play. I think we came up with some solutions today. I think we found new partners to partner with today. So just because we do the toast and everybody ready to run out this door, I'm gonna need everybody to get everybody's cards. I'm gonna need you to meet somebody you never met before. I'm gonna ask you to stay just a little bit longer. Because in order for us to take and put this puzzle together, like I say, see, I use layman terms, you know, like my grandparents and them would say, we take this puzzle, when we put this puzzle together, it take a little time to put the puzzle together. So we're not finna hurry up and run out of here because I'm gonna need your card. I'm gonna need your card. I need your card. I need your card. That's the photographer in the back. He said, I need your card. And that's how we're going to make a difference. It has been my pleasure to serve as the 25th president of this Memphis chapter, to be able to stand before you as we've all been through this pandemic, to see many changes that have happened in our communities and across this country. If anybody is in this room that came today, I think you want to be a part of that change. I think we all learned something new, something different, that we can take, as they say, put in my purse or put in my tool case, so that I can do something different tomorrow. I want to now do a toast. I want everybody to grab your glass. Now, if you drink water, drink water. If you don't drink your champagne, leave it on the table, because your partner next to you might want that glass. They done gave the president a little short glass with a half a glass of champagne, but we gonna work with it. So if there's a glass of champagne on the table, y'all saw what Madam President was sitting, y'all can just take and put your glass right there if you don't drink. Now, if you drink, I want you to have your glass. I want to toast each and every one of you that's here today, because you are truly a part of the change. We hold the power, and we didn't know we had the power. You know, we wear these blue suits. I tell everybody, when I put my blue suit on, this suit with NAREB, my power suit on, this is my superhero suit. This is my Wonder Woman suit. Because we're going to do something. We're going to make a change. I want everybody to promise, and I want you to say it out loud today. I'm here because I want to make a change. I'm here because I want to make a change. I'm committed to make a difference in the state of housing in Black America. Touch your neighbor. Neighbor. Yeah, neighbor. We can do this. We are going to do this. It is done. Toast. Thank you all very much.